What is up, everybody? Well, with the release of Air this past weekend, we now have 5 films directed by Ben Affleck. And as I said in that review, I'm a massive fan of this guy as a director. I would give all 5 of his films a positive review, but there are certainly some best of all time movies and some movies that aren't quite up to that par. So, with that being said, let me know your thoughts down below on Ben Affleck's 5 films from worst to best, why you like them, why you don't like them, and we'll discuss our difference of opinion down below. But really quick before we get into this ranking, if you happen to get an email from Nike saying they want to develop a shoe just for you, it's probably a hacker. And if you need some defenses from hackers and identity theft, look no further than the sponsor of today's video, Aura. As time goes on and technology advances, more and bigger pieces of our lives are tied to online accounts, social media profiles, and everything in between, making cybersecurity and identity theft a growing concern, to where identity theft is actually the fastest growing crime in the country, with a new victim nearly every 14 seconds. This is why I'm excited to partner with Aura, which is an easy-to-use app that has every single tool that you will need to stay safe online. Identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, VPN, password management, and antivirus software. Also with Aura, you'll get near real-time notifications of credit inquiries in case somebody is trying to take out a loan or open up a credit card using your name. And I'm sure most of you watching have 1 or 2 of those, but if you don't have every single one of them in your arsenal, it's like locking all of your doors while leaving your windows wide open. In fact, the day that I activated my account, I got over 50 notifications of my email address showing up on the dark web. That's a corner of the internet where criminals and hackers trade and sell your personal information. So let Aura do the heavy lifting to keep you safe online by using my exclusive link and getting a 14-day free trial. And you will be shocked at how many things they protect you from in just those 14 days. So go to aura.com/Cody Leach or use this QR code to start your trial of Aura today. And thank you, Aura, for partnering with me on today's video. So coming in at number 5 is going to be Live by Night. And this was a movie that just got lambasted whenever it was released. I think it debuted at like in the 30s on Rotten Tomatoes. And while this is my number 5, this is my least favorite movie that he has done, I don't understand the hate this movie gets whatsoever, because I still think it's pretty damn solid. Clearly nobody cared about this thing when it came out, because all anybody could ask him about is, when are you starting the Batman? What's the Batman going to be about? When's the Batman releasing? When are you shooting the Batman? And he was like, Jesus Christ, can we talk about Live by Night once or twice in this fucking interview? So basically you have an old classic tale of mob stories. You have a character played by Ben Affleck who's similar to his character in The Town, to where he's kind of involved with criminal stuff, but he's the good guy. He doesn't necessarily want to be a part of it. He's got a moral compass. Whether or not he follows it, you can debate. And essentially he gets screwed over by this big mob boss, and the rest of the movie is about his very long-winded plan to continue to be in a criminal empire to get the resources to get back at this guy. It's kind of a slow burn. There's not necessarily anything stand out about it that you haven't seen in other gangster mob style movies, but if you like mob movies, this is another really good one. It is shot very well. There's some pretty good performances throughout it. There's some really good chase scenes and action scenes, the ones that you do get here. And I really enjoyed it. You know, it's a little long. It doesn't have the most unique sense to it like some of other Ben Affleck's films. I don't think that Zoe Saldana and his chemistry is the best, and they're kind of the central romance there. But with those few things being forgiven, it's still a damn solid movie by Ben Affleck. Coming in at number 4 is going to be Air, the one that we just got, and the fact that this is at number 4, if you saw the score that I gave it, should tell you how much I love this guy's movies. Now, Air is a really entertaining film. It's a really good story. It's a true story, of course. There's always a little bit of a cool factor in there, and seeing how things actually happen to create the history that we actually live in. It's really inspiring. It's a nice classic underdog tale in many unique ways and non-conventional ways, to where Nike in and of themselves as a company is a bit of an underdog. Matt Damon's character is an underdog. Michael Jordan was an underdog, if that even makes sense to say, given the history of that guy. And it's a really cool, entertaining, and very funny story of how the Air Jordan shoe line got created. The biggest, most profitable shoe line in history. And this is not the type of story that interests me, just kind of written on the page as it is, because I'm not a big sports fan, and the creation of a shoe is not necessarily something that I would line up to see. But when you say that Ben Affleck is directing the film, and you give me this cast, I am immediately interested, and it was a really entertaining time. The only reason that it's this low is because maybe even under Live by Night to a certain degree. Just the type of movie that this isn't the type that I'm going to rewatch nearly as often as the ones above it. Coming in at number 3 is the Best Picture winner, Argo, and this is a really tension-filled movie. Yet again, a true story. Maybe some of it was exaggerated, maybe some of it isn't 100% true. I don't know. There's always a bit of debate with that, but the actual solid story that is here about a group of people that are stuck over behind enemy lines and they have to all pretend to be a movie crew to safely get back to America, it's so wild that it could only be true. And when you get a movie directed by Ben Affleck where he is yet again as the main star, despite some controversy, you get Bryan Cranston in there just hot with that Breaking Bad fame at the time. It's a damn good movie. It's a really, really intense film that, you know, they have this wild story and a lot of wild characters that fill it out. And the third act especially is just absolutely tension filled to where you are there with these people trying to enact this plan to get back to America, and these little things start happening to mess up their plan, and just them standing in a line waiting for somebody that they can't understand what he's saying to decide whether or not he believes their story or not. You really will start sweating when you're watching this. So no question whatsoever why it won Best Picture, although not getting Best Director is still something that puzzles me. Not my favorite Ben Affleck movie, but obviously the Academy's favorite. Coming in at number 2 is going to be his directorial debut, Gone Baby Gone. And on another day, this one might be my number 1 because this movie is really dark and fucked up and crazy, and I love all that shit. Gone Baby Gone was Ben Affleck essentially reinventing himself after the whole Daredevil and Gigli era. He kind of went away for a bit and then comes out as a director with this film with his brother in the lead role about a missing girl. And it is a really wild flick because it's deep into that Boston crime syndicate kind of flavor there, just that street level tension, that street level threat that they undergo when trying to investigate this girl's disappearance. You got phenomenal actors and a phenomenal performance from all of them here, whether you're talking about Casey Affleck or Morgan Freeman or Ed Harris, kind of the standout of this movie in my opinion. And it takes so many twists and turns along the way to where just a simple missing child case turns into so much more. And what I love about this movie is that it ends on a very complicated moral question, to where you have one character that sees things one way, another character that sees things the opposite way, and after you see the decision that is made in the final reel of this movie, when it goes to credits, you're immediately going to turn to the person that you're watching it with and start debating things. And, you know, there's not really a hard right or wrong answer. Like I said, very complicated. And I love movies that do that. I love movies that stick with you to where even a decade, 2 decades, 50 years later, people will still debate an element of the story, and that is Gone Baby Gone for me. But coming in at number 1 is one of my all-time favorite movies, and that is The Town. And this movie had so many things going for it, so many things to prove. Not only was it Ben Affleck's follow-up to Gone Baby Gone, but this was also whenever he was just starting to get a little bit more respect as an actor as well, and so now he stepped back into the lead role and was directing himself. You had Jeremy Renner here before he joined the MCU and was still kind of an up-and-comer, giving possibly the standout performance of the movie as kind of the more unhinged person of the crew. And you got John Hamm here, who I believe was still or just got off of Mad Men, so he was a really hot name as well, doing kind of the cop version of this cops and robbers tale here. And this is a very similar movie to Heat, to where you have the cop character, you have the robber character, you like them both, you kind of see the moral compass of them both, you see the merits in what they're both doing, but the cop kind of has a bit of a douchey side to him that kind of makes you hard to endear to his side of things entirely. And then you also have Ben Affleck, who is the criminal here, but he's the more likable character. And all in the middle of this, you have Rebecca Hall's character, who is taken as a hostage at the beginning of the movie by Ben Affleck's crew, and then as he goes back to kind of try to feel her out and see if she knows anything about them, he eventually falls in love with her, and so she falls in love with kind of the author of all of her current trauma. And so it's got the intensity, it's got the action, it's got that really tight direction of something like Heat with the chase scenes and the heist scenes and the shootouts, especially in the third act. But all throughout the movie, there's this really good drama between all the characters, with Ben Affleck and him wanting to leave the life of crime and Jeremy Renner not wanting to let him go. Jeremy Renner's sister, played by Blake Lively, really like having an infatuation with Ben Affleck while he has no interest in her and has all interest in Rebecca Hall. Just a very complicated set of characters that I've always loved watching this. And if you watch it, watch the extended cut. I don't like the full-on director's cut with the downer ending that came out about 2 years afterwards, but the extended cut, like the almost 3-hour-long version of this, that is the ideal version of this movie. So The Town, not only one of my favorite movies of all time, but it's my favorite movie directed by Ben Affleck. Well, that's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed that, please click over here for all of my 2023 new release reviews, and I'm also going to put my review of Air up here if you just want to check out my Ben Affleck stuff. Please like and share and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss everything in the future, and as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean you have to be.